Welcome back everybody. Behind me we have got a 2015 BMW 9T. Now the BMW 9T was released in 2014 and it was BMW's celebration for 90 years of BMW Motorrad. So as the name says, BMW 9T, it literally stands for 90 years of Motorrad. And that's not all about this bike. So BMW have sold 106,000 of these bikes since 2014 up to 2024 when they released the R12 model. And because it was so popular, BMW did loads of variations of this bike. They did the Pure, they did the Racer, they did the Urban GS, and they are all inspired by different variations of BMW's heritage. The design is inspired from the R9T from the 1970s, one of BMW's most legendary cafe racers. Now, one of the most special things about this bike, which I absolutely love, is when you fire it up, it gives a little left to right shake. Watch this. Oh, you can see it. When you give it a little rev, oh, the bike just tweaks from left to right. It sounds so good. The R9T is an awesome retro looking bike. You've got this beautiful brushed aluminium tank there. You've got the lovely anodized gold forks, the Boxer 1170 air and oil cooled engine down there, lovely upswept exhaust on the backside there. These beautiful spoked wheels that just make the bike. That is what really makes this bike for me. I absolutely love those wheels. They give it that classic sort of authenticity. Ooh, it's lovely. And one of the most interesting things about this bike is the rear subframe's removable. Now, a lot of bikes have this, but it was kind of like BMW saying they had modifications in mind. They were like, look, we've built a beautiful bike, but you can make it your own. You know, if you want to turn it into more of a cafe racer, or if you want it to look like a scrambler, it was sort of designed and manufactured with customization in mind. Now down here we've got BMW's classic 1170 air and oil cooled Boxer engine, 110 horsepower and 190 newton meters of torque, and it looks beautiful. I love air cooled engines here. You've got these air cooled fins here, the way the exhaust just mate together there, and they've got that blue tinge to them. And it's not just a powerful engine, it's got the torque, it's got the brake horsepower, but what I love about that is the character of this engine, the inertia from the crankshaft and the flywheel between gear changes, which I'm going to show you in a bit on the road. It gives the bike a twist, it moves around a lot. It's like you've jumped on a bike from the 1970s, but it is just super refined and everything works. Absolutely love it. Let's talk about the gearbox. It's a 6-speed manual, no blipper or quick shifter on this bike, which I love. It keeps it analog. I think top speed's about 135 miles an hour, and that is plenty for a bike like this. As we'll look into in a bit when we go out on the road in a road test, you'll see that you don't need those high top speeds to really get the most out of this bike and what it's worth. So the 6-speed manual gearbox is beautiful, silky smooth, crisp changes, and it's mated to the drive shaft, you know, typical classic BMW drivetrain on the bikes. And it's just zero maintenance. You know, I think BMW recommend you have the splines greased at about 12,000 miles, so it's really low maintenance, and it just is super clean and smooth. Look how nice that looks. Now on this side you've got the single-sided swing arm. It really displays it here. It's a shame it's not on the other side, so when the bike's parked up you can actually see it, but it kind of makes it special because you know it's there. So when you see one of these, you venture around this side and you think, oh yeah, there's the multi-spoke wheels or the single-sided swing arm. Love that. Upswept exhaust look nice. 18-litre fuel tank on this bike, so mileage is going to be good. And the weight, this is a real interesting one. When I picked the bike up, I borrowed it off a friend, I thought, wow, this is a really light bike, and I found out it's over 220 kilos. Not much, but a little bit. And I thought, wow, and it's really, really amazing how light this bike feels on the stand. Even just grabbing it like this, you know, it's really light, so it's deceiving, and I think that's because all the weight's low down. So it turns out the bike's an awesome handling bike, which we're going to find out now. Now today I'm using the squidgy earplugs from Ultimate Ear. I suffer from tinnitus and it's annoying, so don't end up like me. Go check these out at Ultimate Ear, and they've offered all of my viewers a lovely 10% discount code, so all the details of this will be in the description. Make sure you protect your ears, it's very important. Now I want to start this on-board video of what you can see on the bike and what I think makes this really special. I love the simplicity of what you can see, the dashboard, the handlebars, all the controls, the switches. It's so clean and clear. You've just got this kill switch there, you've got your main beams over here, indicators there. It's very very smart. And you've got these lovely braided lines on the clutch and the brake there, which I think is great, because that should just come standard on all bikes. Clutch is nice and light. You can use it with one finger. I like to use two. Nice smart mirrors here. Obviously, Tom, the guy that owns his bike, he's actually put these on. They're very smart. I like the dials. It's very analog. It's not too digital. You know, you've just got these dials here. They're a little bit small to see when you're up at speed. You know, if you're trying to look out for a speed camera, you're trying to stick to a number, they are quite small numbers, but it's perfect. I love it. It's very simple and it works just the way it should. And it's just quirky. You know, you sort of jump on this bike and you feel like, right, am I on a modern bike here, or is this a really old bike? It's kind of hard to tell, and then you just realise it is. You know, you sort of jump on thinking, God, this could be like a 1970s old, really old school BMW, but then you realise it's not, and the brakes work, and you know, your engine's not going to die if you don't keep the revs up. So that's the kind of character you're feeling when you sit on this bike and you're about to pull away. Then you start the engine like this. And you get it all shaking around. Look at that movement, look at it. That is just wobbling about. Ah, so nice. Pulling away, gearbox is nice, engine's got bags of torque, so it's very sorted and planted when you actually get on the move. And as I said earlier, the weight is such an interesting one. It's not a super light bike, but it feels it. The change of direction, even at slow speeds, it moves around, so the centre of gravity on this bike must be very low, because it feels like a bike of a much lower weight bracket. But around here, look, it just dives into corners, turns in, and you've got that low end torque. I really feel like I need to rev this bike out, because it's just got bags of torque and it sounds good at low RPM. That's what a lot of bikes, you know, suffer with. It being a flat twin is obviously going to help with that. You've got that punch from the engine. It's 1170cc, so you've got over 500cc capacity either side of you, and you know, that's what's giving you that sort of inertia from left to right, that throttle response, and that low end torque, which is kind of addictive, because when you're rev matching, it just makes that little bark. And this has got a standard exhaust, so I'd love to hear what this sounds like with a performance exhaust. You know, a little rev match there, and it's very quick. Gears are very close together, which I love. The gear ratios are nice and tight, so you're constantly changing gears. You know, we're only doing sort of 40, and you can rev match a couple of gears there and open the throttle up, and then it gives you that little bark. I really enjoy that. I'm not such a fan of road bikes with really long stretched out gears, because it gets a bit docile not being able to change gears so much. I love changing gear on bikes, and especially with this, it being analog, no quick shifter or blipper, it sort of adds to the effect. You know, you've got to rev match every gear. When you rev it, you can see the bike move from left to right there, as the inertia of that engine just pulls it from side to side. Very excited by it, as I'm sure you can tell. I'm very fond of this so far. I like the way that the seating position is as well. You know, you've kind of got this straight back, but you're leant forward a little bit, so the weight's not all on your back and it's not all on your arms. It's a very neutral position. You're probably sat about 30 degrees, maybe less, and it really works. It's nice and comfy for maybe longer rides. You can sit comfortably at sort of 70-80 on this bike, and it's not too bad. You know, the wind's in your face. This actually does a really good job of deflecting the wind. You do get that parachute feeling a little bit when you're up at speed, but how long are you really going to sit like that for? You know, if you're on the motorway, most bikers, you sort of, you know, back it off a little bit and sort of cruise along to get where you got to go to. So it's not such a big thing on this, and to be honest with you, I don't think this bike's a touring bike, is it? You're not going to go and sit and do 4,000 miles on it. It's going to be more of like a city bike. Jump on it, go down to the shops, shoot around the lanes, and if you want to go out for a Sunday blast, you can. So it fits the bill for a lot of riding styles, and on roads like this, it's comfy. As you can see, this road's pretty terrible, but I'm enjoying it. Let's just listen to that engine a bit. Do you see what I mean about the gearbox though? You're just always going through the gears. Second and third is quite common on a slower road like this. Oh, listen to that. Did you see the bike there? It got pulled from left to right in between the gears. it never lets you forget that it's a special bike, and you never forget you're riding a boxer engine with the 9T. I'm not so sure how true that is for all BMWs. I'm not sure whether they back that sort of character off for some of the more touring bikes or race focused bikes to make the ride smoother, but this one feels really raw. I think we've come across someone not too sure where they're going, but go on our way. That's another one. I just hit my leg on the engine. I forgot to mention that earlier. When you sort of put your foot down like that, when you go to pick it up, I'll show you guys, when you go to pick it back up, you sort of swing it sometimes to get back on the peg. Whether you've just pulled away, you sort of go like this and swing your leg up, you can hit your shin on the engine, which is something to sort of take note of when you're riding this. I've done it about 3 times now, so I'm obviously not learning, which is great. My shin's starting to hurt a bit. Perhaps that'll be the last time I do it. But we're coming down here into Hambledon, and awesome views, boxer engine, beautiful bike. I really like it. The brakes are good. They're really modular. You know, you can play with them a bit. They've got the power when you need it, but they're not initially like really bitey. You know, you're not going to go with the handlebars. They've got a lot of play in the lever, so it's nice and smooth, which I like. I'm not such a fan of overpowered brakes on the road. You know, if the master cylinder's too big, you just touch it and it does that. You know, dips the bike down. This is really nice and smooth on the front brake. The Brembo calipers there are doing a fantastic job. ABS is good. It's not kicking in too much on the front, but on the rear, I'm gonna have to say that is probably the worst thing about this bike, is that rear brake. I like to use the rear brake an awful lot when I'm riding bikes, and the rear brake on this is just shocking. You know, as soon as you're on it, the ABS is cutting in, and it does nothing to the geometry of the bike. It doesn't let you sit the bike down or sort of pull it into a corner. So I'm not such a fan of that. If I personally owned one of these, I would probably get an ABS delete or something, because I mean, I'm not sure how much I'm going to ride this in bad weather, and I like a rear brake to be able to move the rear a little bit. So that's the only real downside I've found about this bike. Everything else is 10 out of 10. It's awesome. The engine, bags of torque, 1170, the air cooled. I love that it's air and oil cooled. I think that's cool. Adds to the sort of charisma of the bike without that big radiator on the front ruining the looks. And if you're really going to customize one of these up, you know, it's going to be handy not to have to faff around with all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, awesome bike. That's more of the slow stuff on the bike, but now we're getting into more of a national speed limit. I guess we can stretch his legs a bit. We'll see. Really fast. Look at that, straight up to 60 miles an hour there. Flicks from left to right, easy. You sort of dive in. I kind of initially feel a bit nervous about the engine casing, like the cylinder heads, because they're boxer engines. I thought, oh, am I gonna just like hit one of these on the floor when I properly lean it over? But I found out that the foot pegs actually hit the floor before the engines. So if you're looking at one of these bikes, or you've got one and you've never found that limit, that is the limit. The foot peg will hit the floor before the cylinder head, so you're quite safe. And if you want to go throw it around and do some faster riding and hang off the side of the bike and try and get your knee down, then it can be done, and you won't get, you know, huckabucked off the bike when you hit the cylinder head. So don't panic, just remember that when the foot pegs start touching, I don't actually know how much more there is to go, but I'm sure there's a little bit. But yeah, back to the bike. It's just got the power, hasn't it? The gearbox, I'm sure you can see I'm going through loads of gears here, and that's making it super fun. Comfort on this road, again, it's quite a bumpy road. It's not a smooth road, and the bike's taking it well, so it's not got race stiff suspension, but it's not touring suspension either, so the bike is planted, it's dialed. Man, I love this bike. I feel like it's, if you had a sort of 10 bike garage, this would 100% have a place in it, because you're getting all of the old school character with a new chassis, new brakes, refinements, longer service intervals, and obviously that shaft drive is just absolutely awesome. I'm a massive fan of that. One of my sort of pet hates about bikes is oily chains and sprockets, and every time I buy a bike I spend about a day just cleaning all the crap off it because I don't like it. I like it to all look squeaky clean, and with this bike you sort of get that down into first. Right, let's do a little 0 to 60 test up here as we're in a national speed limit. Yeah, boy. The front, I think, actually lifted a little bit there on that first gear. I think it's got the power to lift the front up. That's quite interesting. I haven't felt that come up yet. So that was cool. So as you can see, you can get off the line relatively quickly. Ah man, this is just beautiful. Out in the woods on the 9T. The engine, I love the engine. I mentioned earlier the rev matching, but I'm just enjoying it more and more the more I ride this bike. Really just enjoying having that analog, no blipper or quick shifter sort of option on the bike, and chucking it up and down the gears as you go into the corners and the bends. It's sort of in its element on these roads, I think. I think bigger roads would swallow it up a bit, and it's quite a twitchy bike. The handling is so sharp, you know, like it's very like left to right, go go go. So it wants to turn, it really does. It's very very nimble. But I think on the faster roads where you know you may be pushing the limits of the UK laws, you may find that it's a little bit too twitchy, you know, to keep up with some of the sports bikes. But you know, it's not a sports bike. It's not trying to be a sports bike, is it? It's trying to be a bike that you have a lot of fun on and enjoy the character of it. It's not supposed to be setting records or lap times, so you can't ask too much of it. But down the road like this, it is just perfect. Another thing I'd like to do is to show you the manoeuvrability of this bike. If you look here, it's quite a tight little road, look, full lock. I've spun it round in a single turner. That's pretty good going for a bike like this. You know, it's got quite a shallow steering angle, so it should make corners like that. But yeah, it's quite a manoeuvrable little machine, this. But let's just pull over here and sort of sum this video up. So if you're after a bike that blends a bit of modern engineering with classic style with tons of character, then this is the bike for you. It's awesome, I've loved it. It's analog, it's not the fastest naked bike out there, but it's the most soulful. It really is. It's the most rewarding bike to ride, and when you're riding it, you feel like you're on a proper motorbike. So give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Give the video a thumbs up if you would like to go the long way home on a bike like this. You're never going to take the shortest route. You're always going to be finding the twisty turnies. Let me know in the comments of the rides you've had on bikes like this. Do you have a retro bike like this? What's your favorite retro bike? I want to speak to all of you. And as always, if you could hit that subscribe button, I would much appreciate it. We will see you on the next video. Goodbye.